All right, let's talk about charisma, that thing we call presence. Today, we're going deep, way beyond the surface level tips and tricks, to get to the very biology of influence itself. You've felt this, right? You walk into a room and you can just feel the energy shift when a certain person enters. They haven't even said a word, but everyone's attention just gravitates towards them. There's this magnetic pull. So what is that? What's actually happening there? Well, here's the thing. It's not magic, and it's definitely not some gift you're either born with or you aren't. Nope. The truth is, it's biology. It's a primal signaling system that's been hardwired into our brains for thousands and thousands of years. It's like this unspoken language that we all understand on a gut level, even if we can't quite put our finger on why.
So let's get into it. We're going to decode this primal charisma. We're moving beyond those canned tips and tricks to really understand the deep-seated triggers of influence. We're talking about the signals that genuinely command respect and build real connection, without you ever having to fake it.
And at the very heart of this whole system, there's a really simple but powerful idea. Basically, human hierarchies are governed by two completely distinct biological pathways. So let's look at these two paths to influence. Getting a handle on these fundamental strategies for gaining social rank is, well, it's everything. These two paths are what we call prestige and dominance. And trust me, understanding the difference between them is the ultimate social game changer. Okay, so let's break this down. Dominance, that's about taking status. It's based on coercion and fear. Sure, it can get you short-term results, but it's really fragile. Prestige, on the other hand, is all about being given rank by other people. It's based on your skills, your expertise, the value you bring. It builds genuine long-term respect. You know, it's the difference between being feared and actually being seen as a role model. And for any kind of stable, healthy relationship, prestige is almost always the way to go. Okay, so how do you actually signal prestige? This is where it gets really interesting. It's all about sending the right signals. You've got to master the nonverbal and vocal cues that communicate your value. Your body is sending out these signals constantly, way before you even open your mouth. And science shows us that prestige and dominance are broadcast through some very specific and very different nonverbal cues. So, the prestige signal looks like this. Head tilted slightly up, paired with a genuine, symmetrical smile. This is a universal cue. It basically tells everyone's ancient brain that you're confident, you're open, and you're a high-value person to connect with. Now, on the flip side, what about the dominant signal? This is for conflict, right? The signal totally flips. It's a head tilted down, with no smile. That's the primal cue for I'm ready for a challenge. The real key here is knowing how to move between these two. When you can calibrate your signals, you can adjust your presence for literally any social situation. And, of course, it's not just what your body's doing. Your voice is a massive biological trigger. Think about it. Deeper voices just sound more confident. Speaking more slowly makes you appear less nervous, more in control. Oh, and here's a big one. Using someone's name. That's like a biological cheat code for building an instant connection. It just immediately signals, I see you and I value you. All right, so we've talked about the active signals you can send. But now, let's get into some next-level stuff. Because, honestly, some of the most powerful techniques are about what you don't do. This is all about the power of stillness, the advanced social mastery of non-reaction and strategic silence. This leads us to something called a social test. So what's that? It's basically any comment or action from someone else that's designed to get a predictable reaction out of you. You know, like a sarcastic comment, or maybe they ignore your text message for a while. They're doing it to see how you'll react, because if you give them that predictable reaction, they gain emotional leverage. See, when you react exactly how they expect, you're handing over control. But when you stay grounded, when you choose not to react, you shatter that pattern. Suddenly, as the saying goes, your silence becomes louder than any argument because it removes the leverage they were counting on. Your stillness shows you're absolutely unshakable. This whole idea of non-reaction brings us to a really specific, super powerful technique that you can use in pretty much any conversation. It's called the power pause. 3, that's the magic number. Just remember the number 3. It's the secret to making everything you say land with way more authority and intelligence. Okay, so here's the technique. It's so simple. Step 1, you hear a question. Now, normally we feel this pressure to jump in with an answer immediately, right? To prove we're smart. But instead, step 2, you just pause. You count to 3 in your head.
Then, step 3, you give your thoughtful, unhurried answer. What does this do? It signals that you're actually considering their question. It makes your answer feel so much more credible, and it shows them you value what they said enough to actually think about it.
And that brings us to the ultimate signal of all, self-sufficiency. I mean, think about it. Someone who is genuinely, truly comfortable in their own skin, happy in their own company, that sends an incredibly powerful message of independence. They're not scanning the room for approval. They're not trying to desperately match everyone else's energy. That kind of self-mastery is so rare, and it's what makes you the most magnetic person in the room, precisely because you're not trying to be. So look, mastering all this stuff isn't about being manipulative. It's just about understanding the signals we're all sending and receiving every single day. It's about consciously choosing prestige over dominance. So with that in mind, here is your challenge for this week. It's super simple. All I want you to do is put that power pause into practice. The next time you're asked a question, any question, just pause for 3 seconds before you answer. That's it. Just watch what happens. Pay attention to how the other person reacts and how it subtly changes the entire dynamic of the conversation.
And that brings us full circle, right back to that first question. Have you ever noticed a shift in a room just from someone's presence? Now you know the science behind it. You know it's not some kind of magic. It's a mastery of these primal signals we've been talking about. So the only real question left is, what are you going to do with that knowledge?